So this morning I had a conversation with someone, and they were saying, that after 20 years of therapy and different modalities like EMDR and things like that, they still do not feel any better. They feel stuck, right? Stuck with this problem, this emotional problem. And maybe some of you out there can relate to that. As I was trying to analyze this, this person was also puzzling over why so many people are now turning to Jesus and, going from the New Age practices to Jesus. And he can't understand it, but he says, I can't deny how truly happy the people feel that have, entered a relationship with Jesus. But he just can't seem to do it, and I can't do it. I've tried to go back to having a relationship with Jesus. But then he said something. He said something that he remembers having this anxiety rise in him, and I guess I could use his example. He is so embarrassed that he will flush in his face like a red tomato, and it makes him feel embarrassed and anxious when he can feel the flush come on. And he's been trying to overcome this, trying to get rid of this physical reaction. And he said one time it got so bad that it felt like he was a beet red, a red beet or a red tomato. And in his mind he said, well, it can't get any worse. And the moment that he did that, he could feel the flush dissipate, right? So I'm glad he shared that experience, because it opened up another angle of understanding for me. And I basically said, what you need is not therapy. What you need is radical acceptance of this flushing version of yourself, basically to surrender to it rather than trying to fix the problem. Surrender to the problem in acceptance. Because when he reached that state where his conscious mind could no longer devise an escape route and had to surrender to, it can't get any worse than what this is, and he surrendered to this moment of anxiety and loss of control, that is when his body released the anxiety and the flush dissipated. So it was at that moment when he gave up resisting this condition, this psychological and emotional and physical condition. When he gave up, when his mind could no longer find an escape hatch and had to surrender, the body could finally relax. Okay. Now, what about these people that say they find such deep peace with Jesus? I can explain that too. Our root problem is the non-acceptance of ourselves, right? And accepting yourself in your perceived flaws is the hardest thing. And this non-acceptance was built up and created by the judgments of other people who did not accept us with our real or imagined flaws. And the deep root, the deep psychological need that we need is acceptance. And because we cannot, in many cases, not find acceptance from the people around us, our families even, the one persona, the one person, the one spirit that will accept us is the one we know as Jesus, right? Whether he is real or not, psychologically, it has a very real effect to feel the chemicals and the emotions of being accepted by Jesus in unconditional love. The body will release the hormones and the chemicals of dopamine and oxytocin. You feel loved with that idea that Jesus loves you and Jesus accepts you. And that's why it's such a strong dopamine rush. And that's why people feel better once they hear this acceptance from Jesus, right? And this will be a temporary fix for a lot of people. And it's a big step towards experiencing acceptance when you're not accepted in society. So it is a big step. It is going to make a big psychological and physical impact. But there's one more step after that, and that is self-acceptance. Can you accept yourself in this worst case scenario that you absolutely dislike about yourself, which was built up and created by what other people disliked about you, to the point where you dislike this about yourself because you're not being accepted. The root trauma, the root issue here is acceptance, and most of all self-acceptance. And when I asked my friend, can you accept yourself as the flushing, red-faced person that you are? And he said right away, no. See, that's the resistance in him, that where his mind is fighting his body. He already experienced the moment of surrender. When he surrendered control, his body went into a relaxed state and the flush dissolved. So, self-acceptance is the next step after you have been accepted by Jesus. You still have to eventually face yourself and come to this test of, can I accept myself in this projected worst version of myself that gives me the greatest anxiety? Can I accept myself? And when you do, you're going to feel even a greater peace than the peace that people are experiencing from the acceptance and love of Jesus. Now you gotta take the next step, and can you give yourself that acceptance and love, right? And that's the ultimate unification, the ultimate peace that will bring you home. So, like I said, sometimes all the therapy and all the healing modalities don't work for everyone, because it is an issue of self-acceptance, because we cannot psychologically accept ourselves, accept this judged version of ourselves that was shunned by society, was avoided by society, was discriminated by society. So that's a template that was imprinted on us, which we have to overcome now in us. If the whole world does not accept us, Jesus is a wonderful band-aid to help us get out of the hell of depression and self-loathing. At least Jesus loves us, okay? But now you got to take that a step further in whether you can love yourself and accept yourself. Does that make sense? So the cure might just be in giving up the resistance in your body, giving up this need of having to fix yourself, and simply accept yourself in your greatest fear, in your greatest nightmare, right? So much love to you. You're going to be all right.